I had listened to my body and knew that there was something wrong.
Hi everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of Take a Pain Check. I'm so excited to have Stella joining me today. Hi Stella, can you give me a brief introduction about yourself? Tell me a little bit about your education, your hobbies, what you've been up to recently.
So recently I've been modeling a lot. Me and my mom just opened up like a little online dress business, so I've been busy with that. And then I intern at an academy for social media. And then I'm also working on getting my associate's degree. I have juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and I was diagnosed when I was 14 years old. So it was a big change for me.
And so what were the symptoms that kind of led you to go see a doctor?
So it's such a funny story. So it was during basketball season. I played basketball my whole life, and I started getting these like nodules on my fingers, and my fingers started like cramping up, like I couldn't make a fist. And then when I couldn't catch the ball anymore, my coach knew there was something wrong, and we couldn't figure it out. So then they admitted me to MUSC, and then that's when they diagnosed me.
And what was going on in your mind, in your parents' mind, while this was all happening? Because I'm assuming they didn't really hear about arthritis before, at least in young people.
So my mom works for a pharmaceutical company, so she kind of knows like rheumatoid arthritis, but she would have never expected that I would have it. And for me, I couldn't play basketball anymore, so I lost my whole identity. Like that's all I did my whole life. Never modeled before any of that. So it was a really hard time at the beginning, and I didn't really understand what it meant at first, that like how huge it has had like an impact on my life.
And so, have you ever gone back into playing basketball ever since you weren't able to?
I haven't. No, I'm not allowed to. My doctor doesn't want me to play contact sports just because it could damage my joints.
From basketball, how did that shift into modeling? Because I know you've been kind of talking a little bit about that, but how did it shift into that? Was that always your passion, or like did something happen?
But I always loved fashion. Like I remember when I was little, I used to do these like modeling camps, fashion designing camps, but I've always been super good at basketball, so I just did basketball. Like I never thought of it. So I always loved fashion, and I was 14 at the time, so like I really couldn't work anywhere like locally. So I started doing like brand ambassador stuff, and then I started turning that into modeling.
What role did your parents play throughout your diagnosis journey?
Yes, so my mom, she is in a pharmaceutical company, like I said. She works for Bristol Myers Squibb, and her company has been so supportive. I've been able to speak at conferences for them and share my experiences to help other patients get their medication and get the medication they need. So she's always been super helpful in when it came to like giving me my shot or when I needed to switch to new medication. She kind of knew what I needed. And then my dad has always just been super supportive, but he doesn't really know like about what medicine or anything like that. So, but he's been super supportive.
I feel kind of the same way in a sense that, like, at least my dad, I feel like he's been very supportive. I mean, I don't think I'd want him to, like, give me a needle. Then again, I didn't really want my mom to, but at one point I had to because I was like, I can't go to the doctor every single week to get my methotrexate. It's just, like, not accessible. So, what was your medication journey like?
So I started off on methotrexate, and due to like the insurance company policy in the state set therapy laws, I had to be on that medication for 6 months. And that was super hard because I was diagnosed like really quickly when I got on it. And my hair was falling out. I was throwing up all the time. Like it was just, I had such a bad reaction to the medication, and I wasn't able to get a new medication until 6 months. So it was a really hard time for me because I lost everything. And then I was able to switch to Humira, which worked like really good, amazing. Loved Humira, and then it wore off. Like it stopped working. So now I'm taking Orencia, and it's going really good.
So, is Orencia an infusion?
Yes, so Orencia is an infusion. It's once every week, but I switched to once every 2 weeks because I've been doing better. But it's starting to get colder, so I'm probably gonna switch back to once every week.
And how did you make that decision? Like, do you talk to your rheumatologist to make that decision? How do you know you're gonna switch to once a week or once every week?
So yes, I talked to my rheumatologist. I love all the staff at MUSC. They're so amazing and they're so caring and kind. And my mom kind of, her company carries Orencia. That's like her main wherever she works in. So that's kind of how we decided on Orencia because she's so familiar with it. So that's what we talked to my doctor about, and she agreed on it.
That's good. I mean, I've also had like the methotrexate struggles too, just like hair loss and nausea. And it sucks that you have to wait 6 months in order to like try something else when you know it's not working. How did you feel during that time? Because I feel like I also had to wait. I've been on methotrexate for like 7 years on and off because I feel like they always want to give you methotrexate for some reason. Did you have like similar feelings?
Yeah, it was so weird. Like I wasn't able to see my friends. I wasn't able to do my schoolwork on time. Like I was missing school constantly. So it was just a really hard time for me, especially at the beginning of my diagnosis. So yeah, it was super weird. And I didn't really understand like the 6 months thing. I was like, can I please get off of this medication? My mom was like, no, we have to wait. But yeah, she really helped me push through it.
Oh, that's really good. And so is your medication working well right now for you?
Yes, it's working very well. When I started, it doesn't really kick in for like a month. So it's kicked in now, obviously, because I've been on it for a few months, I think 4 or 5 months. So it's been great. It definitely was a rocky start because it wasn't really working. So I just had to take naproxen, but yeah, I love it.
No, that's good. I'm glad you found something that works for you. I feel like it takes patients like such a long time. Did you ever have any issues with insurance?
No, so my mom's company also like helps pay for my medication for Orencia. They cover it. So I'm really thankful that we have that connection and we've never had any issues with insurance because we just had to, I mean, we had to deal with the methotrexate. Like there's nothing you can really do about it. So yeah, but I'm very thankful that I got diagnosed like so early on and I had listened to my body and knew that there was something wrong and they found something that works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And during that time, because you were young when you were diagnosed, like 14 years old, how did you explain to people what was happening with you?
So I did not tell anyone for a year
Wow.
because yeah, I did not. I was so scared my friends would view me differently, my friends would treat me differently. You know, my teachers knew because I had to be out of school like most of the time, but I didn't want people to treat me differently or view me as someone like they can't hang out with or like that's like too fragile they can't go near, you know. So, and especially I was in middle school at the time. I was in eighth grade, so especially being in middle school, people don't really understand like what's going on and it could be kind of hard to explain to people at some point, but eventually I was like, okay, I'm missing a lot of school. People obviously are asking me what's going on, so I'm gonna have to tell them. But
And how did you tell them? Did you say, "Oh, I have arthritis"? Like, what was the way you told them?
so I had to explain to them that I had arthritis, and I had to explain that it's not like the stiff like the joints like in old people that it's like my body attacking itself through the immune system.
Yeah.
So they thought it was kind of like like an elderly woman's arthritis.
Oh.
It's like, so that's how it was super, yeah, it was super challenging. It's still challenging to explain to people sometimes, but so I think it went pretty well.
What joints are impacted or like what is impacting your body when it comes to your arthritis?
Mainly it's my fingers and my knees and my toes. So
A lot.
yeah, but yeah, those are the worst spots, but definitely my elbows. I mean, pretty much everywhere, my hips, but it's mainly my knees, my fingers, and my toes.
Okay. And do you feel like you have pain like every single day, or is a medication managing that you don't feel like you have pain every day?
The medication is really good. Like, I don't feel any pain. In the summer, I was able to take a break from the medication for a bit because of the nice weather, and I was feeling really good. So I haven't felt a lot of pain on it. at all. And we'll see how it goes, like more as when it gets colder, because I know it's getting really cold right now. Um, but we'll see.
Are there any side effects from Orencia that you experience?
I didn't have that many side effects. I felt nauseous sometimes, maybe like once every 3 injections.
Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have a younger brother.
And does he know you have arthritis, or like how did that conversation go?
Yeah, he knows I have arthritis. Yeah, he didn't really understand at the time because he's 2 years younger than me. So at the time, it was really hard to explain to him because he didn't really know what that meant. But he's very, very smart. He wants to be a doctor. So that was kind of like a good learning point, I think, for him.
Oh, that's good. And did you find like explaining it to extended family and other people around you was okay?
Yeah, so we didn't tell like my grandparents or anyone probably for 6 months just because we wanted to make sure like after I got off of the methotrexate I could tell them. But yeah, I mean it went pretty well. It's okay. They always check up on me. They're so caring and supportive, but I think they understood it a lot better.
Did you find that anyone made any comments throughout like middle school or high school for you, or was everyone pretty respectful?
There was definitely a few people whenever I was on methotrexate because I was on methotrexate until like the start of my freshman year when I started telling people about my arthritis. So there was, and my hair was falling out and I like had bald spots on the top of my head. So there was a few people that were like, why do you have bald spots in your head? I was like, well, I have arthritis. I'm taking this medication. So I think once I explained it to people, they understood better, and nobody really said anything to my face about it. So, I mean, yeah,
I mean, that's good. I'm glad that no one said anything like super crazy, but I feel like at that time hearing something like that is just not very helpful.
yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Especially that's why I waited so long to tell people because my main thing was I didn't want to be treated differently because people are like, why can't you play basketball anymore? Like, what are you doing with your life? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, so I just wanted to wait until everyone like matured a little bit more. So then it would be like a better understanding.
I'm assuming you found yourself like maturing much quicker than other people around you.
Yes, I did, especially with meeting other patients at MUSC. Like, I'll meet patients in the waiting area and they'll tell me about their chronic illness and I'll tell them about mine. And it's just a great learning experience. And I think it's given me so many opportunities, like take a pain check, where it's so cool to hear about other people's experiences. And it's so helpful as well. Um, but yeah, I definitely think it's matured me. It's definitely given me a different view on the world.
That's good. I think I needed that when I was diagnosed, like talking to other people. And I feel like at least here, the people, at least when I was in pediatric care, I couldn't talk to them because I just saw like babies around me, and I was like 13, so or maybe like 15, and I couldn't really talk to anyone there. But then like finding my own community was very helpful, and I'm glad that you're able to talk to people at the clinic and other engagements, like patient engagement stuff that you do, which we'll talk about as well. So having a strong support system is really important when you have a rheumatic disease, and I feel like we both know that. Who is a part of your main like support system?
Definitely my mom. I know I've talked a lot about her, but she understands it the best because she gets to hear about other patients' experiences all day long and work on getting out the medication and working with her team on ways to campaign it. She does so many things for Orencia and the company in general. So she's been my biggest support system because she's known about it for a longer time. I think like she knew about arthritis before me. Like I didn't know that was a thing. Like I was shocked. I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "I thought that could only happen to old people." And she's like, "No, like this is how it is." But yeah, she's definitely been the best and the biggest support system.
So you said like where you are located, like it's very hot and also it can get really cold sometimes, or the weather changes. So Does that have an effect on your arthritis?
It does, especially when I travel for modeling. I'm going to New York in February for Fashion Week, and I have to stand outside in these lines and wearing heels outside and walking in heels in cold weather. And especially traveling from cold to hot and all the time, it's definitely taken a toll on my body when it comes to my arthritis. But I think my medication has really helped me. And sometimes I'll take naproxen if I'm really like feeling any pain. But I think the Orencia has really helped me with that.
So, what are some other like pain management strategies or other things you do to kind of like alleviate the pain? If it's like asides from your main arthritis medication, like any physical activity or I don't know, food, sleep?
Definitely as much sleep as I can. I love to sleep. I'll take a nap hopefully every day if I can. But I really try to focus on my body and make sure my body is okay before I go out and do anything. Um, and I try not to push myself too hard or overwork myself. But I also take naproxen and then I'll take Advil sometimes, but the naproxen really helps me.
You have been kind of traveling for modeling. Like, how long have you been doing this for?
I've been modeling for a long time now, I think 3 years. So yeah, it's been a long time. It's so cool because I get to meet other models that have, some of them have actually chronic illnesses. I've met two models that have rheumatoid arthritis. So
Wow.
yeah, the same kind of story happened to them. So it was really cool. But it's great. I love it. And I love meeting all the people and hearing about their experiences with the situation in their life.
Can you kind of bring me through how this all started and what are you doing in terms of modeling now?
So I started as a brand ambassador for a company, and then I started doing more brand ambassador stuff. And then I decided to try and walk in New York Fashion Week, and I made connections with this designer, Mark DeFang, and he's been great. I also work for him as an intern, so he's helped me connect with other people, and really social media has helped me the most, networking, meeting people, lots of meetings, Zoom calls with designers. So it's been a lot of that getting to where I am. So I walked in New York Fashion Week, and then I walked in Miami Swim Week, and then I started doing more photo shoots and updating my portfolio and submitting it really online anywhere I could. So now I'm working on New York Fashion Week in February, and then I have a Chicago bridal market in March, and I also have a fashion week in March and lots of photo shoots. It's very busy.
So,
But
how
yeah.
do you manage your life? Like, because you're also in school.
Yeah.
How are you doing all that?
My school's online, so that's really helped me a lot when it comes to modeling and stuff because I've missed way too many days. But especially with it being prom season with my dress business, I've sold 3 dresses in the past 3 days. So I had to ship those out. And then my internship, I've been working at the school. So, and spring sports are coming up. So I definitely have to deal with like the physical paperwork and stuff. So it's very busy. I don't know how I keep up with it. So I have an agency. I'm signed with Everything Formals Modeling Management, but they're a non-exclusive. They're not a mother agency. So they only book me my markets, which is where I met the other models with arthritis. So that was really fun. But basically, it's where the companies like the dress stores go and buy like their bridal gowns. So I'll try on like bridal dresses all day for these dress stores, and that's basically what they book me. And then fashion weeks and photo shoots and anything else like that, I book myself. So
Okay, so you really need to like be on top of it and find things on social media and network and do all that yourself.
it's a big part of it.
Yeah, I mean that's really good, especially because you're so young too. You're like doing really well in terms of like finding different opportunities for yourself, and it's just like amazing. Because I mean, how do you model with arthritis? Isn't that so painful? I'm just like thinking walking in heels. You're really making some sacrifices there.
Yes, we are. Definitely gonna feel it when I'm older, but really the markets have been the worst because I'm just standing there in heels for 10 hours and I only get a 30-minute break. So I'll do that for 3 or 4 days straight. And then the longest one I worked was probably 6 days. So, and it's just standing there, like no phone, just with other models changing into dresses all day. So
That's,
it's very boring,
yeah,
but I mean, you got to do what you got to do to get paid. So,
yeah.
the fashion weeks, they're a lot easy. They're a lot less on my body physically, and they're just really tiring because I'll go from 5 in the morning to 11 at night. So, or like 12 at night because I'll be walking in shows all day, and you can really only walk 2 shows a day because of hair and makeup. You have to be there early. So those are less. And then the photo shoots sometimes, because sometimes I have to do these weird poses. I don't, yeah, it's crazy, but I mean, the Rencia has really helped me. It's really been working.
I'm glad because otherwise, like, I'm just thinking about it. I can barely, like, I always wear like flats. Like, I think I can barely walk in heels. I'm like, for you to be doing that for 3 days in a row, 10 hours a day or something, insane. But I mean, you're getting through it. And is this something you want to do for the rest of your life? Like, this is like your career, or do you want to try to do other things as well?
I don't know. I have a few career paths I could choose from, but I definitely want to model as long as I can. Obviously, I'll get old and I'll get wrinkles and I won't be able to model anymore. But I love my heels, so I really want to do that the rest of my life, hopefully.
What are
But
what were your other like options? Did you ever have other like aspirations for career paths?
yes, so I could open up like a physical dress store that would be really successful because I'm selling off of Poshmark right now, and Facebook Marketplace, and we're working on our website. But I mean, if I'm selling dresses on Poshmark and Facebook Marketplace, then I'd be selling a lot in person. And then I could also go into social media management for a sports team, like professional sports team. I could do that. Or I work as an assistant for Mark DeFang, so I could also go down that route of being his assistant. And it's a lot of cool stuff coming up in the fashion industry.
That's really good. It's interesting because I feel like a lot of people either go in a route where they're like, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a researcher, like related to their arthritis. But for you, you're doing something different in doing modeling. So how are you raising awareness about your arthritis through modeling?
So I've had a lot of local news companies reach out to me, especially in North Carolina. They love me there for some reason. I have 8 published articles there. So I really try the most I can to put in any way possible my arthritis, connect it, tell people my story, get it out there. And it's not the end of the world, kind of show them that if your life changes, you can always make it into something better and you can always grow from your experiences.
When do they like ask you questions and then people like talk about their stories or I don't, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so that really never happens, surprisingly, with the
Really?
design.
Maybe you've seen it on TV. Is that real?
No, it's not. So at the castings for Fashion Weeks, literally you walk like even on Zoom calls, you just walk to them, back, and to them again, and you give them a card with like your name and your picture in person, and then you just leave. Like they don't ask you any questions.
About like who you are and what you do and like nothing.
Well, that only comes in for agencies and like features like online features, but
Okay, that's really interesting. So it's just like the way that you present yourself, kind of, and like the way that you walk.
yeah.
Wow, especially like someone with arthritis, you're doing great. I'm like hearing these all these opportunities that you know, like even when you were volunteering with us, you've been super busy and like doing so many things, and it's just so amazing to see everything that you're doing. So I mean, you've been raising awareness about arthritis. You've been meeting people with arthritis that are also modeling, which is really cool. What would you say is like the hardest part about advocating for yourself while living with arthritis?
I think the hardest part is you have to understand that people have other chronic illnesses too. So not only do I try and advocate for juvenile arthritis, I try and advocate for all chronic illnesses just because you never know what people are going through. Like they may look fine, but they could be in the worst pain of their life. So, and it's really, MUSC has helped me a lot with this. So I was featured in their March or their April, I think it was March, their arthritis awareness month that they had. I got to share my story and I got to help advocate. So that was a big thing. And that has also like drawn a lot of companies that have wanted to work with me and feature my story. So I just try in any way possible to advocate for everyone.
Have you had any like struggles in the doctor's office for advocating for yourself, or has it been pretty good?
It's been really good. Yeah, everyone at MUC has been great. My local doctor, she's been amazing. She understands. Everyone's so nice. Because they see patients in their best they can be every day or their worst. So they never know what they're gonna get. So I feel like the doctors have such an important role, and the doctors at MUSC are amazing, and they understand their patient. They hear their patient out.
A lot of patients have a very hard time finding a good rheumatologist, so you finding one off the bat very easily and it's like working out for you is really, really great. But in terms of your future plans and advocating for the rheumatic disease community, what do you have in store for yourself, or what do you plan on doing in terms of continuing advocacy?
I definitely want to do more news type of work. I definitely want to get into that. So I think that'd be really good and really important just to raise awareness to everybody that, hey, like, look, like this person could look fine, but they're feeling their worst. So I feel like that's kind of what I want to do. Planning wise, I have a few features coming up, but I'm trying to work on more like news related stuff to help advocate to spread the message to like the entire world rather than just a small group of people.
You are doing online school. How is that going? Like, has that been helpful for your arthritis because it's online?
It has, it really has. Even when in-person school is, I was fine, because I was at half day school, but online has really helped me, especially with working. I've been able to lay down in my bed and do my schoolwork rather than go to school, model like back to back. So it's been really, really nice. And honestly, I think that with a lot of colleges having arthritis, that you need to take off a lot of days. And some of them don't accept that. And I could probably fail from attendance. So that's why I do online.
Oh, that's good. And is it the same thing? Like, you're still learning a lot. There's no like differences in terms of like education, I assume.
I think I'm actually learning more than I did in person, and I get to choose what I want to do. So there's plenty of online programs, and I got to choose the one that was best for me. So that was amazing, and I get to choose my classes that I want to take. So I love school.
So, what are you taking?
So right now I'm taking chemistry, algebra, English, American history, psychology, entrepreneurship, and Spanish.
Anything you like the best?
I definitely like chemistry the best. I love science. Especially in high school, I love chemistry. Um, but I definitely love it. And I like doing it online because then I don't have to like deal with dissecting things. So, but yeah.
You get to still do your job, and then you still get to rest because you have arthritis, and then you still get to go to school. So I feel like you've really balanced things out really well. And I think for people that are thinking of doing modeling or any job that might be like very hard on their joints or like extensive, like these are options that people can do, like do online school, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I love that. There's so many options here. There's so many platforms that offer online. And honestly, it's just the same as regular school. And in the work field, definitely a regular school is going to look better. Like a regular college is going to look better. But if you take like the number of courses you're doing and the reason why you did online, then that could help you a lot. And in where I'm at, what I would do for my career, it wouldn't really matter if I was at a physical college or not.
That makes sense. Like, for example, if you want to go into med or research, you'd probably have to be in a physical college. But like for you, it's different. And plus, you're already establishing yourself. So I think that's pretty cool. And then I wonder, like, socially, because if you're in online school, that means do you still see your friends that are in the in-person school you used to go to? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so a lot of my friends go to a college that's like 40 minutes from my house. So I see them a lot, and then some of my friends just left to go back to college. But I do see my friends a lot, and I just have a lot of friends locally, and some of them do online as well. But I do see my friends a lot, and I love meeting new people as well. So I've always like made friends around the area and stuff like that.
That's amazing. So you were also a volunteer for Take a Pain Check in our ambassador program. Can you talk a little bit about your experience with the program?
I loved the whole experience. I got to meet so many cool people. Everybody has like kind of like a different medication too, and everybody has something different. So it was cool to hear what worked for some people and what didn't work for some people, and it was helpful as well. That also helped me with my decision for Orencia, but everyone was so nice and supportive because we're all going through kind of the type of pain, like the same type of pain. So um, I loved working for them.
And I hope you come back when you're more free. 'Cause you're so busy, and I know we're like, oh yeah, I mean, this is like super big for you. So, I mean, anything that we can do to kind of promote what you're doing, we're more than happy to do that. You made amazing videos, so people that want to check out like Stella's TikToks on our social media. Also, Stella has her own TikTok page and social media, so we'll talk about that in a bit. But I know you're super big on social media. You have a pretty good following. Can you talk a little bit about how your social media page started and what your goals are for that?
So I started it for fun. As like an ambassador, I had to have social media if I wanted to be brand ambassador. So I started it and I took it as more something fun than something serious. And once you start with brands and working with brands, you can't stop because you have contracts and you work with more brands and you're like, oh, I want to do this brand, I want to do this brand. So like I try and make it like more as like fun instead of a job. So that's really where I started it, is just doing it because I had really nothing else to do. So I did it for fun.
You've gained lots of followers, been posting lots of things about modeling on there. So, do people reach out to you? Have you seen any engagement on your posts? Like, what is that all about? And then also, like, I'm assuming you have people that follow you that also have arthritis. So, has anyone reached out to you?
Yeah, so I've had a lot of people reach out to me on TikTok that have arthritis, and we kind of talked about like they were asking me what medication I take and what medication didn't work for me. So it's been great, and I've definitely seen a lot more awareness about it on TikTok. And then on Instagram, I get people reaching out to me a lot. Not really so about arthritis, that's more on TikTok, but I definitely love hearing about other people's experiences and trying to help them in the best way I can. But it's just such a great community, and everybody's so supportive. Nobody is like being rude to each other about it or saying like, no, like just because that didn't work for you and that works for me, like you're lying. Like everybody's bodies are different and everybody's just so supportive. So
That's amazing. I think also people that reach out to us too, like, they've been very nice. And I think everyone's very open to hearing other people's stories, which I feel is very helpful because oftentimes we don't get to hear from other people living with a rheumatic disease, so it's nice to hear from them. I have an advice segment. What advice would you give to young people who feel a sense of loss after being diagnosed?
definitely, I think what helped me a lot when I felt like I had nothing was I definitely just took a break, helped my body get better first, listened to my body if something was wrong, definitely made sure I was good or getting better. And then I looked into more options, and it's definitely important to keep an open mind, to definitely find something you love and find the passion for. And nobody's going to find what they like to do on the first try. It's definitely going to be a lot of experimenting. And honestly, just take it slow and make sure you have an open mind.
What lessons have you learned ever since being diagnosed with arthritis?
I've learned that everybody is different. Everybody's struggling with something. So it's important to be kind to everybody. And you never know what someone's going through. They could be having the worst day of their life and the worst pain, and they could look fine. So it's important that we're all open-minded and we're all super kind to each other. And it's also helped me with definitely my social skills, talking to people, educating people, advocating. Um, but yeah, I definitely think it's important to be kind to everybody.
Thank you so much, Stella, for joining me on today's podcast episode. We started off the episode by discussing your experience with arthritis, your symptoms, your diagnosis, your medication. We talked about also the side effects that you had with some of the medications, your support system of friends and family who've just been there for you since the beginning. You also discussed your advocacy journey and then modeling, basketball. We talked about your social media and MUSC and how you want to continue to advocate and raise awareness for people with arthritis. So everyone, like, comment, subscribe, check out Stella's social media channel and other links I will link down below to Stella's businesses, and I'll see everyone in 2 weeks on Take a Pain Check. Thank you so much, Stella.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.